All right, everybody, welcome back to Jayfabe Wrestling. We're back at it again, another Royal Rumble related video. This time we're going to look at the undercard. So it's going to be the 30 greatest Royal Rumble undercard moments. Also, I just want to apologize in advance if my voice is, kind of sounding off. Kind of feeling a little bit under the weather lately, so that's kind of why. But regardless, we're going to push through with the video. Before I get into it, let me just talk about the undercard of Royal Rumble. I think it's very important, If you look at the greatest cards ever, you talk about 2001 Royal Rumble, you had a great ladder match between Benoit and Jericho. You had a fun title match between Angle and Triple H, a great tag team opener with Edge and Christian versus the Dudley Boys, or Royal Rumble 2000 where you had, Kurt Angle versus Taz, the debut of Taz. Jeff Hardy, his Swanton against the Dudley Boys. Of course, you had the great Triple H Cactus Jack match. So the undercard can really make a Royal Rumble show, iconic and one of the best shows ever. You could have a great Rumble like 1992, but the undercard of 1992 kind of hurt the show in my opinion. So I believe undercard is definitely important. Probably not as important as the Royal Rumble, but it's definitely important for sure. All right, guys, before I get into my list, let me talk about a few honorable mentions. We got 1993, the debut of Lex Luger. So that was when Bobby Heenan was like, narcissist. And he was like, blowing his load over Lex Luger. I mean, it was cool to see Lex Luger debut, but, it wasn't really a great, entertaining moment. Then we got in 2002, Ric Flair submitting Vince. That was fun. We also got, in 2012, John Laurinaitis. I don't know if you guys remember, but he was like the special guest referee, but he assigned another referee. And then when CM Punk, he was going for the pin for the win, he jumps in the ring and counts the 3 as well. Like, that's going to do anything. It was just a funny moment. That's funny to mention. 2017, we got Braun Strowman interfering in the Universal title match between Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns. Funny enough, they're going to be fighting again this year. This is going to be the 3rd time they fought in Royal Rumble, and actually the 2nd time in San Antonio. So that should be interesting. And then we got the last honorable mention. We got 2012, Seth Rollins does the Shield entrance. I thought that was pretty fun. Obviously, it was Seth Rollins playing mind games, but it was like a cool throwback to, the Shield entrance. We haven't seen it in a while, so that was pretty cool. All right, so just like the 30 greatest Royal Rumble match moments, this is going to be in chronological order. It'd be just too difficult to rank these from, 1 to 30. But I'll tell you if I believe it's like one of the higher moments. I'll mention that when I'm talking about it. But in general, I don't want to be ranking chronologically. It'll just make, making this video even harder. So that's that. All right, let's get into the list. Let's start at number 1. So number 1 takes place in 1988, the first ever Royal Rumble. It's the contract signing between Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan. And this is when Andre flips the table on Hulk Hogan in a pretty cool moment. Nowadays, we see contract signings all the time, and it always ends, of course, with, someone going through the table and some sort of brawl. But, this was kind of like the first ever, televised major contract signing for a big match. And the 2 biggest stars at the time were Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan. And it was just pretty cool how, Andre's so huge. He makes that little table they use look so small. He flips it onto Hogan and kind of gets the upper hand. It was cool to see Andre get an upper hand because this took place in 1988, obviously the year after WrestleMania 3. So it was cool for, Andre to finally get one on Hulk Hogan. All right, next up we got entrance number 2 in 1990. Virgil turns on Ted DiBiase. This was a pretty cool moment, a pretty big moment, because Virgil's been aligned with Ted DiBiase for quite a while now, and everyone was just waiting for Virgil to finally, snap on Ted DiBiase and not, take his money anymore and, be a man. And it was a great moment where, Virgil accidentally hits Ted DiBiase. But Ted DiBiase was still able to get the win, and after the match, he was pretty pissed. He told Virgil to get in the ring. He told him to put the belt on him. Virgil threw the belt. Ted DiBiase's like, yeah. And talked about, again, the money that he needed. Virgil picked up the belt, but then in a swerve, he hits Ted DiBiase with the belt, finally turning on Ted DiBiase in a great moment that had a lot of long-term storytelling. So, yeah, you got to love it. All right, entrant number 3, we got in the 1991 Royal Rumble, Randy Savage helping Sergeant Slaughter defeat Ultimate Warrior for the WWF Championship. This was, at the time, one of the shocking moments. The crowd was stunned. Even the ring announcer took his time before announcing Sergeant Slaughter as the new WWF champion. And this was just the way Savage did it, He snuck up on Warrior, hit him with the scepter, I believe, because he was like king of the ring. Hit him with the scepter right over his head. And he just runs out the building. And Sergeant Slaughter gets the win. And the fans are stunned because, Sergeant Slaughter's a pretty major heel at the time, and obviously this set up the Savage Warrior career versus career match was one of the greatest matches of all time. So you definitely got to have this moment on the list. All right, now we're into entrant number 4, 1992 Royal Rumble, Roddy Piper defeating the Mountie to win his first ever and only Intercontinental Championship. This was a great moment. Roddy, obviously, this was his first belt. He never won the big one, but he did win the IC Championship. And I love the storyline after, where Roddy says he's going for 2 belts. And at the time, it was definitely believable. Roddy was definitely one of the favorites. But it was just cool to see an all-time great get a great moment like this. And this obviously led to, Piper versus Bret at WrestleMania, which was also a great match. So, great moment that led to even greater things. All right, now we're in 1994 for entrant number 5. Owen Hart turns on Bret Hart. So speaking of, building something at the Rumble going all the way to Mania, this was pretty cool. It was kind of the coming out party for Owen Hart. Obviously, they had issues at Survivor Series in 1993, but they were able to make amends during the holiday break. And, Bret said he's going to focus on the tag team titles. He's going to quit his singles career. And yeah, it was just a nice little swerve here where Bret, injured throughout the match, tries to go for the sharpshooter, but his knee is too much in pain. The referee stops the match, and you think Owen's gonna have some sympathy, but no, he kicks Bret Hart in the leg, and he has that great interview after where he says, I kicked Bret's leg out of his leg. That was the only botch, but, you could see the true emotion of Owen Hart, really, being overshadowed by Bret and wanting his own spotlight on him. So it was a great moment for sure, and definitely has to be on the list. And now we're at number 6, also in 1994. It was when The Undertaker resurrected from the casket. So it was Undertaker versus Yokozuna for the WWF Championship. Looks like Taker was about to win, but, Jim Cornette, he got a bunch of heels. Shawn Michaels, Jeff Jarrett, Diesel, all these people to jump Undertaker, put him in the casket, lock the casket. And, yeah, at the time, we're like, man, this is the end of Undertaker, but, he resurrects. There's a video of showing himself inside the casket and his eyes open, and then some typical Undertaker stuff where like he's shown in the arena like rising above, and it was pretty cool. Again, a little hokey, but still a pretty cool moment. It has to be on the list at entrant number 6. Now we're at entrant number 7. In 1995, we got Bam Bam Bigelow and Lawrence Taylor facing off. So this was after, I believe, Bam Bam lost the tag team championships against, was it 1-2-3 Kid and Marty Jannetty, something like that? I don't know. But yeah, we see Lawrence Taylor in the background. He's smiling, laughing. Bam Bam Bigelow gets in his face for laughing, and he pushes Lawrence Taylor. Obviously, this was the setup for, LT versus Bam Bam. pretty big moment considering, Lawrence Taylor was one of the, at the time, biggest NFL superstars. So, and yeah, definitely brought that mainstream appeal and built the main event of WrestleMania 11. All right, now we're at number 8. We're in 1996. This is when Diesel cost the Undertaker the WWF Championship. So it looks like Undertaker was about to win the title from Bret the Hitman Hart, but then Diesel, he interferes, pulls the referee out, and before this, Diesel was walking to the back after losing the Royal Rumble. Undertaker comes on, they kind of have a face-off, so this just established the heel turn from Diesel, and it set up their WrestleMania 12 match. Was probably, underrated gem at the time, one of Undertaker's, greatest matches at the time. And also, it was pretty cool to have Diesel turn heel because, when he was champion, he was kind of like a happy baby face. But, when he finally got to turn heel, he showed the badass side, which eventually led him to the NWO. All right, now we're at number 9. Entrant number 9, we got Kane turning on The Undertaker, setting his casket on fire. So, in the build to Shawn versus The Undertaker, DX was saying that Kane was going to join them. Kane was going to be a member of DX, but, Kane attacked DX, and both Kane and Undertaker went on one knee, signaling that, they're on the same page. And again, typical Undertaker casket match at the Royal Rumble. Bunch of heels come to jump the Undertaker. Kane comes, clears house. Looks like Kane is on Undertaker's side until he chokeslams the Undertaker right into the casket for Shawn to close the casket. But that's not all. Kane, he takes it to the next level. He sets the casket on fire in a pretty iconic moment. We've seen this happen before with, Randy doing it at No Mercy 2005 to The Undertaker. But this was the first time we seen the casket on fire. And just a great way to build the Undertaker versus Kane match at WrestleMania. All right, entrant number 10. We have 1999 Royal Rumble. The Rock makes Mankind quit. And I'm going to put that in quotations because obviously Mankind did not quit. It was a video recording. But at the time, man, just seeing The Rock bash Mankind's head with those chairs, it was brutal for sure, and definitely hard to watch, especially if you've seen the documentary Beyond the Mat, where Mankind's kids were there. And yeah, it was just really brutal. And I believe the story was Rock kind of lost count on how many chair shots he threw, and yeah, it was really brutal. But definitely an all-time moment. Just for The Rock to go to that level, just to have Mankind quit, and he didn't even quit. So, definitely a memorable Royal Rumble moment just for the fact of the brutality and the violence for sure. All right, now we're at entrant number 11, and this time we're going to go to Royal Rumble 2000. The debut of Taz and him choking out Kurt Angle. So, yeah. This was slowly teased at the end of 99. The arena would turn into like orange lights, and yeah, it was slowly hyping up the the debut of Taz. And this was a pretty big moment because, not a lot of superstars from different companies get a major push right off the gate. Even when Chris Jericho debuted, he wasn't even on SummerSlam. But to have Taz debut at the Royal Rumble in his hometown in New York, choke out the fastest rising star, Kurt Angle, this was just a big moment. And unfortunately, they didn't really capitalize on it because Taz, he kind of became like enhancement talent, and he was never as pushed as this night. But this was just a cool moment. His entrance song, JR and King going crazy, New York crowd going crazy, him choking out Kurt Angle. Just iconic stuff, and definitely deserves to be on the list at entrant 11. And now we're at entrant 12. We're at the same event, 2000 Royal Rumble. Jeff Hardy hits the Swanton bomb on Bubba Ray Dudley. He was on top of the Titantron there. Madison Square Garden, their arena format's a little different, so obviously the top of the stage there it wasn't that high, so Jeff was able to jump off it and still looked amazing. And yeah, this was definitely the coming out party for the Hardy Boys, the Dudley Boys, and obviously later this year they had the Triangle Ladder match, and then of course TLC won to cap it all off. All right, now we're at entrant number 13, and it's from the same show. Man, the 2000 Royal Rumble, man, it was a great show. And this was when Triple H hit the pedigree on Cactus Jack on the thumbtacks to retain his WWF Championship. This was just iconic for many reasons. Obviously, Triple H had the wooden pallet that got stuck inside his calf, so that was really brutal. And this really legitimized Triple H as the top dog, the top heel. And obviously 2000 was Triple H's best year. And I don't think it happens without this match. And the rub Mick Foley gave to Triple H and showed that, Triple H would go through hell to retain. And obviously we know what Mick Foley would do. And yeah, the pedigree on the thumbtacks, that was pretty brutal. Gotta give Mick Foley a lot of credit, man. This guy puts his body on the line. This is his second moment where, he gets brutalized, but, he makes the list because it's just an iconic moment. All right, now we're at number 14. This is the 2001 Royal Rumble. And this is when Steve Austin cost Triple H a match against Kurt Angle. He hits Triple H with the belt and hits him with the stunner, and Kurt gets the win. This was a cool moment because it built towards their No Way Out feud, and also Austin getting revenge, because I believe Austin fought Kurt Angle at the end of 2000, and Triple H came back after, he got dropped at Survivor Series in the car, which was pretty stupid, how he came back so quick with like a Band-Aid on his forehead. Just funny stuff. But yeah, this was cool, Austin getting his revenge on Triple H and, building towards their No Way Out feud. All right, now we're at entrant number 15, and this is going to be very controversial, but, I got to be honest with myself. This was just a great moment. It was Chris Benoit receiving a standing ovation after the Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit match. Chris Benoit comes up short, but it's an all-time classic, wrestling match. And yeah, they played this commercial, and then we come back to Chris Benoit just receiving a standing ovation. And I think this is very, very important in, the decision for Chris Benoit to win the Rumble next year, just to see how beloved he was and how much the fans appreciated his wrestling skills and, his tenacity and heart. Obviously now it's hard to even watch that, but, being unbiased, I would definitely have this moment on here because it definitely led to Chris Benoit, his main event push the next year. So, all right, number 16, we got the Shawn Michaels Triple H Last Man Standing ending in the draw after Shawn hits the sweet chin. They both go down. Refs counts to 10. This was a underrated moment, I believe. I believe the Last Man Standing match was actually pretty good. A lot of people ripped on the Hell in a Cell match, rightfully so. It was way too long, but the Last Man Standing match I thought was actually a really good match and pretty cool finish, where they're both bloody and none of them can get up. And obviously this led to the triple threat match with Chris Benoit, so it was a pretty pivotal moment. It just really showed, the feud between these two, and that, the hatred between the two, that, they couldn't even get up after a count of 10. So that is number 16. And entrant number 17, we got Kane helping The Undertaker fight off Gene Snitsky and Heidenreichs. So backstage, Snitsky and Heidenreich, they had this really weird segment where they're like, Gene Snitsky's like, I like you, John. And then Heidenreich's like, I like you, Gene, but I'm scared of caskets. And then Gene Snitsky's like, don't worry, I got a plan. And Gene Snitsky interferes. How's Heidenreich? Looks like they're about to win. They open the casket. Kane's in there because Kane's been feuding with Gene Snitsky over, the loss of his baby with Lita. I don't even want to get into that, but yeah. Kane sits up from the casket. helps clean house, helps Undertaker win. This was pretty cool because we haven't seen the Brothers of Destruction interact in quite a while because Kane was on Raw, Undertaker was on SmackDown, and their feud's kind of paralleled where, they're both fighting these just crazy dudes, so I thought it was cool storytelling, and I believe this was supposed to lead to the Brothers of Destruction versus Kane and Gene Snitsky. Thankfully, we didn't get that, though, because obviously it wouldn't have been a great match, but still a cool moment, and comes in at number 17. So we're now at entrant number 18, and this is when The Undertaker returns on a horse and challenges Kurt Angle. Again, I thought it was pretty stupid how they had Kurt Angle versus Mark Henry main event just so Undertaker could, break the ring and come in a horse. I mean, there definitely could have been another way to do that, just because, that was the worst match to main event, in my opinion. The WWE title match or the Rumble should have main evented, but it is what it is. But it was still a cool moment, for Undertaker to return and do all his Undertaker theatrics. And yeah, Kurt Angle even talked about it on his podcast, and he said it was one of his favorite moments. And obviously this led to the classic No Way Out 2006 match. So that comes in at entrant number 18. Now we're at entrant number 19. 2007 Royal Rumble. John Cena chokes out Umaga with the ropes to retain the WWE Championship. This was definitely a great John Cena moment, an iconic moment where he's all bloody and he's choking Umaga and he's screaming for him to, pass out. And yeah, this really, showed the character of John Cena, the never quit attitude, the hustle, loyalty, respect, and all that stuff. And this was also one of the greatest matches ever. So just a cool moment, and definitely, solidified that John Cena is the man. And that's the reason I believe why he, headlined WrestleMania 23 over Batista and Taker. Because Cena proved that he was the face of WWE, just having a great match. And just a great visual too, of him all bloodied up, choking Umaga, and just showed how difficult it was to put Umaga away. So definitely a great moment. And now we're at entrant number 20. We're at the 2009 Royal Rumble. This is when Shawn Michaels super kicked both JBL and John Cena. So this was at the time during the recession when Shawn Michaels, he claimed that he was broke and he was working under JBL because, the recession really hit him. He had some bad investments and he needed the money from JBL. So he was basically doing all the dirty work for JBL, and, JBL wanted him to help him win the WWE Championship. And it looked like he was going to. He switches JBL, and everyone thinks, oh man, he turned. But he also switches John Cena. So we're like, wait, he didn't. Cena ended up retaining, and obviously it's led to Shawn versus JBL at No Way Out. But it was just a cool moment just to see Shawn switching both of these guys. And it kind of gave a flashback of the old Shawn Michaels where, you can't trust him, and he's just, Shawn Michaels does what he wants to do. So definitely a cool moment. All right, now we're at entrant number 21, and this is when Matt Hardy turned on Jeff Hardy during the WWE Championship match versus Edge. Yeah, we kind of saw this coming. Obviously the plan was for it to be Christian, but Vinnie Mac thought it was too predictable, so he made it even more predictable by having Matt Hardy be the one to turn. Just didn't make a lot of sense, just because it's funny too, because he's fighting Edge, and obviously Matt Hardy hates Edge, and just didn't make sense for Matt Hardy to be behind all these things that, affected Jeff's life, like the pyro or, his house on fire and all that stuff. So yeah, but it was still a shocking moment, obviously built towards the WrestleMania 25 Extreme Rules match. And obviously they feuded, I believe, in 2001, but, this was more on the main event level as, Jeff, he became main event status, and Matt Hardy as well. He was really up there in the card, so this was their feud on a bigger scale. And of course, Royal Rumble was a great stage to start the feud, and definitely a cool moment, no doubt. All right, so now we're going to talk about number 22, and we're going to go all the way to 2011, and that was when CM Punk cost Randy Orton the WWE Championship against The Miz. CM Punk was getting revenge because in 2008, Randy punted CM Punk, and CM Punk was forced to vacate the title because he couldn't defend it at Unforgiven 2008. So it was cool, and it set up a pretty good WrestleMania match. All right, number 23, we got 2013, The Rock defeating CM Punk for the WWE Championship. And you had a nice little swerve here where the Shield interfered, and we thought like CM Punk was going to win. Vince McMahon comes out, restarts the match, and The Rock was able to win. Unfortunately, he did it with the people's elbow, which is, not the most ideal move to lose to, but it was still pretty historic. It ended CM Punk's 434-day reign, and it was pretty cool to see The Rock back on top because, for a while, people thought he would never come back to the WWE, and boom, he ended up winning the WWE Championship in a pretty cool moment. All right, number 24, we go to 2014, and it was John Cena versus Randy Orton. Fans did not want to see this match. We've seen this match numerous times already. It was getting old and stale. But a cool moment was when Bray Wyatt interfered. Sister Abigail's John Cena cost John Cena the WWE Championship, and they built a match between Cena and Bray at WrestleMania. So that was pretty cool, and Bray was super over, so that's what made this moment pretty special. And Bray was also had a lot of momentum. He just defeated Daniel Bryan, and yeah, unfortunately his push didn't go because he lost to Cena, but it was still a cool moment at the time. And now we got entry number 25, and at entry number 25 we got 2015 Seth Rollins dive on Brock Lesnar. That was a pretty cool moment, and it was probably the best spot in a very, very great triple threat match. It kind of showed Seth Rollins has arrived. He's fighting with the big boys, Lesnar and John Cena. And at the time, it looked like, Lesnar wasn't going to come back because there's rumors that, he was going to UFC and all that. So it would make sense to take the title off him like that. But then he comes back and returns, and he wins the match, which, also adds on to this moment. And all right, at entrant number 26, 2016 Royal Rumble, Kevin Owens versus Dean Ambrose, a great undercard Intercontinental Championship match, often a forgotten match, and that was when Dean Ambrose pushed Kevin Owens through 2 tables onto the outside, and he was able to get the win and retain his Intercontinental Championship in a great moment. Definitely an underrated spot. Kevin Owens, he's known for taking a lot of brutal spots, so shout out to him. We're going to 2017 for number 10 entrant number 27, Cena, winning his 16th World Heavyweight Championship. This was a very cool moment just because it's a record that, people thought that would never be broken. And, although Cena was definitely over-pushed and, he was kind of stale as a character, you can't deny his longevity, his hard work, determination, and his star power. So it was a cool moment to see someone actually tie Ric Flair, something we probably never thought would have happened. So yeah, 28. We go to 2021, and this is when Roman Reigns ran over Kevin Owens with a golf cart. This is a pretty cool, brutal spot, and definitely a memorable one. Like I said before, Kevin Owens, he takes these incredible bumps, and that's definitely a memorable one. And funny enough that they're fighting again this year, so this will be the 3rd time they're fighting at the Rumble, so it should be a good match, should be interesting. All right, at number 29, we got Seth Rollins doing the Shield entrance. This was cool. Seth Rollins, as you know, he's the master of the mind games, as we seen at Hell in a Cell when he dressed up in polka dots, versus Cody Rhodes. And, yeah, man, it was pretty cool because we haven't heard the Shield entrance in a while. And usually it was Roman who would come out, but to see Seth come out full gear and then still have his, persona where he's, like, laughing, dancing, taunting. It was pretty cool mind games and, pretty nostalgic to see the Shield entrance once again. And the last moment, entrant number 30, is when Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns cost Brock Lesnar the WWE Championship. This was, pretty cool again to see Heyman once again do what he does, turn on Brock Lesnar, and obviously it set up the big WrestleMania match and gave Bobby Lashley a pretty big win, so can't deny that. So yeah, guys, those are my list for the top 30 undercard moments that didn't happen in a Royal Rumble match. Let me know what you think about my list, if I missed anything. Once again, appreciate the support. I'm excited for the Rumble. Cody's returning. What they're going to do with Sami Zayn, The Rock, Steve Austin, rumors. So definitely should be a great Rumble. It's one of my favorite seasons, and I hope you all enjoy it and take care. Appreciate the support. I'm out. Peace.